I knew this was a waste of time, Bronze Age pervert thought to himself, walking down the convention building. Sigma Male Con. What a stupid idea. In truth, his whole day had been rather disappointing. He bought tickets for the con in hopes of recruiting fellow military dictators for his upcoming adventure on the high seas. But so far, he had only met bugmen and soy-swallowing vegan bodybuilders. Maybe I should just leave. This whole building is too small anyway. All these people, it's suffocating me. He was deep in thought, and so he didn't notice the Asian man walking in his direction, since their broad shoulders clashed like two huge boulders smashing against each other. What's the problem, Chink? Too slant-eyed to see, hissed the pervert. The other man brushed himself off and scowled at him. I am not a Chinese subhuman, you stupid Westerner. I am a loyal subject of His Godly Majesty. A Jap, then? Asked Bap, now more intrigued than hostile. He gestured towards the book the Asian man held in his hands. What are you reading there, little Jap boy? Some manga. The Asian's lips curled in disgust. Of course not. This is a book by a Western author, one of the few I really like. He turned the book around so Bap could see the title, Jenseits von Gott on Boses. The title was written in golden letters. The bronzed pervert was stunned. How could a lowly Asian read the words of such a noble author? Nietzsche? You read Nietzsche? Asked Bap, failing to contain his excitement. Of course, answered the Oriental, the disgust now having disappeared from his face. I particularly like his notions on the Übermensch and the philosophy des Lebens. Bronze Age pervert tried to hide his delighted surprise. Perhaps we started off on the wrong foot. He extended his hand heterosexually. The name's pervert, Bronze Age pervert. You may call me Bap for the sake of brevity. The Asian man bowed respectfully and introduced himself. Mishima, Yukio Mishima. Pleased to meet you. They failed to properly make contact as they both offered different styles of greeting. But this awkward moment was luckily interrupted by a convenient distraction. I have a right to be here. You are acting very irrationally right now, screeched a skinny, chain-smoking woman. The Copper Age deviant scowled and crossed his arms. Whoa, man, he said, shaking his head as the woman was escorted outside by security. She was an older, short-haired Slavic woman. As soon as she was dragged out of the building, she was promptly shot twice in the back of the head. Mishima raised an eyebrow at his newfound acquaintance. Woe men? He asked. Yes, woe men. You know, the weaker sex was the answer. Ah, I see. Mishima now also crossed his arms. Women. Women. As soon as Bap repeated the word, he felt a great heaviness leave his body. It's like a stone fell from his heart, like he had confessed a sin that had burdened his conscience. Of course, the great warrior of bronze would never seek the counsel of a crucifix-clutching priest, but in this moment he felt a strange sensation, like a stranger in a foreign land who finally found someone that spoke his native tongue. Well, enough about them. What do you think of this convention so far? Asked Mishima. I am quite disappointed. I had hoped to recruit strong youths to join my crew, but it seems as though even in this place the number of noble spirits in aesthetic bodies is low. Mishima nodded in agreement. Yes, it seems I have the same problem. I was looking for recruits to bolster the ranks of the Shield Society. Perhaps a skilled Kemp training partner as well. Kempo? The Iron Era deviant asked. I come from a long samurai lineage. Training in the art of Kempo should only be natural. This piqued Bap's curiosity. You are a samurai. A real samurai? Do you own a real katana too? Mishima laughed at this. It was odd seeing him this way. He was a very stoic man, not very eager to display emotion. But in this moment, he seemed carefree, almost boy. Fuck, he's kind of cute. Why did I just think that? Why? The bronzed perverto was stunned by his own thoughts. Well, indeed I do. A 300-year-old katana was inherited to me by my father. It has been taken good care of. I always bring it with me on my travels, but it reminds me of my home, and it comes in very handy in case I need to slice open communist throats. Mishima began to nervously shift his weight from one leg to the other. Perhaps, he started. He trailed off, took a deep breath and began anew. Perhaps you would like to see it. A jolt of electricity coursed through Bap's veins. He was drunk on a wild cocktail made out of anxiety, fear, happiness, and aerosol. Oh, yes. Well, sure, of course. I always wanted to hold a katana. Mishima smiled. Follow me then. My suite is right around the corner. I believe a katana might suit you. You may be a Westerner, but you have the physique of a warrior. It reminds me of a Greek statue. Bap had never felt his own body before. He took great pride in Mishima's assessment. He felt the blood pumping through his veins, like raging rivers that flowed from and through his beating heart. Like an ancient war drum, it shook him to the core. He also noted Mishima's physique. The plain black suit hid a powerful body. He was sure of that. He wanted to peel off this layer, reveal the body underneath. He didn't try to push the thought away now. He felt shame, yes, but for now he just relished in the idea. He began to speak. Thank you, Mr. Mishima. I must say that you seem to have an impressive frame as well. Of course, answered Mishima, it is a shame for a man to grow old, without having seen the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Bap finished his sentence, which was rewarded with yet another smirk from Mishima. They now arrived at his apartment, and while Mishima fumbled with his keys, Bap tried to look at the ceiling or the carpeted floor or the walls or anywhere but the steaming hot Japanese buns in front of him. Mishima finally opened the door. Make yourself at home. I will get it out shortly. The ancient debauchee looked around the room. He was very pleased to find himself standing in a spacious apartment filled with the orange light of the setting sun instead of the dingy closet he was expecting. Mishima retrieved the katana from his belongings. Then, with a satisfying sinkling, the blade slipped out of its simple black sheath. Bap watched on in amazement. The way the steel reflected the setting sun was sublime. Mishima had rolled up the sleeves of his suit, and his muscular forearms now firmly gripped the handle. His arms looked like thick ropes, like those of a catapult, ready to spring forth and kill at a moment's notice. For a moment he just stood there, grasping the sword in both hands. He looked like a statue, a monument to all warriors of the past and the present. Then he turned to Bap. It is currently polished to perfection, but this steel has tasted the blood of many men. He forlornly gazed out of his apartment window, and one day it will taste my own. Bap stumbled forward to take a closer look at the weapon. It's beautiful, the craftsmanship is amazing. Mishima turned around the handle and offered it to Bap. Perhaps you would like to hold it. Bap's eyes glinted as he took the sword in his hand. Mishima shook his head. No, it needs to be held like this. He stood behind Bap and wrapped his arms around his. He covered his hand with his own and corrected his stance. Bap was sweating. He felt Mishima's body pressing against his. The strength with which he held the katana. Well, perhaps we should put it back now. Mishima let go of Bap and picked up the sheath. Bap felt a strain in his pants. His cock was throbbing. Mishima slowly put the katana back into its sheath, but while he did so, he made eye contact with Bap. The bronzed pervert unbuttoned a few buttons of his shirt. I'm sorry, Yukio-er. I mean, Mishima, it is getting hot in here. Mishima got closer to him now. Perhaps you would like to hold my other katana as well, he whispered seductively. This broke the dumb. Bap couldn't hold it in any more. He practically pounced on Mishima. He wrapped his arms around him and kissed him hard. The hotness in his chest and his mouth drove Bap crazy. They started tongue-kissing immediately, almost as if they tried conquering each other's mouths. The next few seconds were a blur. Their clothes flew off. Their hands vigorously explored each other's bodies, following the contours of their muscles. Mishima grinned. I think I know now why they call you pervert. Bap's face became red. Shut up, he said, and enforced his words by covering Mishima's mouth with his. Feeling the naked skin, slick with sweat, they squirmed in each other's arms. Then Mishima turned around and Bap inserted his massive manhood into Mishima's hot vent. They made passionate love like this for the rest of the night, changing positions frequently and thoroughly enjoying the power and beauty of their bodies. And finally, they collapsed together on the bed. The sun was already rising. Mishima looked at the way its light illuminated his newfound lover. Perhaps the time for my death is further away than I thought. Perhaps I will start a new life first. He thought to himself as he drifted asleep.